Okay, excellent. Well, it's wonderful to meet you. Thank you for taking a minute out for the program today. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, and hello to your listeners.
And let's begin our journey with this. 6 years ago, this pandemic was changing our lives, changing the world. How did you get through that era, and how has it changed the way that you do things today?
I, with working from home, I made a conscious effort to get a morning and an evening routine going that was going to hold me in good stead. During the worst of the lockdown, I was by myself in an apartment, very high rise apartment in one of the busiest cities in South Africa, not even knowing who my neighbors were. And I had a few mental challenges with the loneliness that came from being on my own. And I decided to make a concerted effort and introduce a few easy yet impactful changes into my morning and evening routines. Uh, Joe, we got to one stage where we couldn't exercise on the roads. We had to remain indoors. And this is where my mini trampoline became my best friend. It ensured that I was getting a lot of exercise in. And a trampoline is amazing for the lymph system in your body. That's the part of your body that's responsible for waste management and detoxification. And just a simple going up and down gently helps 10x the functioning of your lymph system for 20 minutes a day. And I bought a few inexpensive weights or dumbbells and a kettlebell, a skipping rope as well to help make sure that I got in a great workout and the oxygen was pumping through my body that made me feel fighting fit. I also believed in the power of outsourcing with my long working hours being what they were. I had gotten in someone to prepare my meals for me. She came in 3 days a week and prepared a meal for 2 days at a time. And I had 2 hours of someone come in the morning. She was in at 7 a.m. and was finished at about 9 or 9:30. And I made sure that my nutrition didn't suffer while I was on my own. I used to also focus a lot on this hack that I teach my coaching clients. It's called the 10-minute reflection time every evening. And that involves sitting down somewhere quietly and closing my eyes. I relax my tongue and I keep my mouth slightly opened. And when you relax your tongue, you become a lot more calm, peaceful, introspective. And you'll find that saliva also accumulates a lot more in your mouth than normally if the tongue is right up to your palate. It helps the body. It's a trigger sign for your body that everything is well with the world and you can relax. And I used to then close my eyes, relax my tongue, open my mouth a little to relax the jaw, and focus in minute detail each of the things I had done for that day. And feel in my heart space a sense of joy and accomplishment that I got these things done. If there were things that I had yet to do that didn't quite get around to doing it, then I would keep a notepad and a pen nearby and make a note of that. There's something very spiritual and mindful about writing down some action item or a thought. Once it's on paper, it leaves your mind and it's on that paper. And I found that I was sleeping very well during the night because I didn't have work issues that, oh, when I get up, I've got to do X, Y, Z. Instead, they're written on a paper for me to look at the next day and go to bed. Piano music was my saving grace as well, Joe. I used to listen to many tunes in the morning, during the day, to help keep me calm and a sense of balance. Nowadays, it's very hard for me to sleep without listening to some piano music in the background. I also found that gratitude was the best attitude for me during that time. I started what is called my brag book. So it's a normal diary, but a little pocket-sized one. And every day I would write 3 things that I was grateful for. It could be the most random things like a really great cell phone or a great stationery set that I have, or my trampoline, or my weights. something that I had, or something that I had accomplished, or people in my life for which I was grateful for. After writing them down, spending a minute or two just reflecting on that. And that was something that was life changing for me, is keeping this gratitude book. In addition to that, I put down one thing every day that I chose to accomplish. But here's the trick: not just one thing, but one transformational thing. Sure, you've got a to do list. Sure, you've got things that need to be ticked off, and you've got work emails or meetings that you have to attend. But after 365 days, how many people can say that they've done something that's transformational across the year? And that could have been anything from writing a chapter in a book to, and this is something I've been doing a lot lately, which is trying to transform one person's life a day. Whether it's acknowledging them in a message, calling them up, or if someone's in my mind and they may have a problem that they're going through, and if they've asked for help, then thinking about what potential solutions are, or just telling them, I'm here for you. I'm here with my listening ear in case you want to talk. And that is my idea of, or my way of transforming someone's life. But my transformational journey has resulted in me having achieved many things during lockdown. And once we came out of it, I felt more fighting fit, more in control of my mind than I had ever had before.
So let's get into the good work that you're doing right now. That was a perfect precursor as an author and a lifestyle coach. I'm going to put you in front of a bunch of kids at Career Day. They're 12 years old, and one of them wants to know what you do for your day job. How do you explain your work to a child?
Sure. The lifestyle coaching is something I'm very passionate about. I help mummies and daddies that are corporate professionals get from burnout to balance in 4 months using tools that I've applied in my life, using easy yet impactful changes to daily routines so that they benefit from a health, wellness, personal admin, and financial control perspective. And this just means that mummies and daddies will be fighting fit. You will see your daddy smile a lot more because his personal admin or his filing or his tax returns are all up to date. So with the system that he would develop, it means he saves countless hours and he'll have more time to take you to your soccer matches.
That's wonderful. So what did you want to be when you were young, that 12 years old? What was your dream job?
When I was at that age, Joe, we were very poor growing up. And I realized at that age that in order for my family to get out of the financial rut that we were in, it was going to have to be up to me to make that happen. And it was a very, very conscious decision that I made. And I had decided to pull a little away from sporting activities. I was very good in school. I loved playing soccer and volleyball and tennis, cricket as well. I don't think it's very popular in the States, cricket, but it's very popular in South Africa.
Yeah.
And I pulled away from that and got more into academics. And I got really good marks that earned me lots of money off my university fees. And I started to become a chartered accountant. And that is something that I still practice today. I'm an international tax expert and I work for a multinational as the group head of tax. Being a chartered accountant has led me to lead a very illustrious lifestyle. I've had a very great career. I've worked for 3 multinationals, and it's allowed me to travel, see the world, and deal with matters from a very alternative angle. I like to think I work equally well with my left brain, which is the analytical, detailed, logical side, and my right brain, which is the more creative side of the brain. And being a CA or chartered accountant has helped me build a lifestyle that I choose to lead. And it's through storytelling of my experiences in corporate and some of the tools and techniques that I've tested over the years that my coaching clients find benefit and they use to implement in their lives and see similar results.
So what were the Beyond wanting to have something better for your family and feeling that level of responsibility, what were the seeds that were planted in your life early on that gave you this drive, that gave you this vision? You clearly have been successful. What were the things that have allowed you to evolve to where you're at today?
A great support network. At some point there during my high school career, this was the last year, I was so driven to get the results that I needed to get a good entrance into university. But I was very burnt out, Joe. I had spent lots and lots of nights studying, burning the candle at both ends, wanting to make sure I succeeded. And at some points, motivation did become low. I felt very tired, and there were people that were around me, my family included, that saw this greatness in me and reminded me of that. I feel that if you have a team of cheerleaders that are cheering you on, that have your best interests at heart, it will go a long way to make sure you succeed in your goals. I've been very, very good over the years, and this is something that I enjoy teaching as well, about making sure that the relationships that you have, the people that you have in your life, are not high maintenance friendships where you add value to your friend's life and likewise the same. I've also had a great system of accountability buddies where in school I would have friends that we would get together and we would have a study group. So finish a chapter of a book, for example, and let's get back together and let's discuss. Having people in my life that have held me accountable has helped me to get to the heights in my career that I have experienced.
So, who's been that inspirational force, that real true hero that's been fuel for you all these years?
It's my mother. My mother's never had an easy life. Her husband, my father, was an alcoholic, and things were quite tough. I shuddered to think what would have happened had she not worked. And there were many long hours in my last year at high school where I studied in the kitchen and she was washing dishes or preparing a meal, where we were chatting about all my dreams and aspirations. And we never had a car growing up, Joe. And it was my dream that my mother would have her own car one day. And at my second year at university, I had a really good bursary, or in the States, you may call it a scholarship. And that had fundamentally changed our lives, where I was able to get a car for our family, even though I didn't have a driver's license, but I never felt happier or more fulfilled than when my mother was driving that car and I was sitting in the front passenger seat when we went out shopping. So my mother's my biggest priority in life, and she leads a very, very comfortable life.
Who, if you can meet one person out there that lives a lifestyle between business and adventure and just being a positive force, anybody on the planet, who would you love to meet and talk to? Someone that might help you on your journey.
That's a lovely question. The person that I would love to meet would and interact a lot more than I do at the moment is my business coach, Raymond Aaron. Raymond is a New York Times best-selling author several times over. He's written over 200 books in his lifetime, and he lives in Canada. He has helped coach me, and he's the co-author of my second book called The Lifestyle Rocket Ship, which is also the name of my coaching course. Raymond is pushing 80, and he is absolutely healthy, has such a zest for life, traveling the world, being a keynote speaker, and living one of the best lifestyles I've seen.
So, what is the motivation for you every day to wake up to do this work? I mean, when you're getting involved with clients' lives, you can go down some murky roads. Human beings have a lot of baggage. But what is it that keeps you grounded and positive and taking on that responsibility to help them in their lives? And also, you have a soul and a life. What is that collectively for you?
I I enjoy listening to people. I have a sympathetic ear and I'm empathetic. And Within me, I feel like the work that I do, I'm operating from my heart space. And when I'm operating from that space, it is truly a joyful experience to connect with someone, to learn what their story is, and to help them in some way. However, and this is something I've had to learn, is I cannot be too attached to the outcome of the advice that I give. All I can do is advise the individual on ways I think they can improve their lives, and whether or not they accept the challenge to implement my advice, that is something I'm not as invested in the outcome as I used to be before, because it used to be painful for me where I felt I gave really good advice and the individual wasn't following it for whatever reason, and that used to make me sad. And what I love, the highlights of my role, is to feel I can make a difference, knowing that I have a story to share and being an inspiration for other people. That if you're in a corporate role and you're finding yourself extremely burnt out, it isn't the end of the road for you. There are, in addition to thinking about looking for something else where you do not feel as overwhelmed or pressurized, there are tools that you can implement that are very, very effective for get you up and to get you up and running and fighting fit very quickly.
So when you decided that you wanted to be a lifestyle coach, did you have a good client experience in the beginning that confirmed you made the right choice? What was this affirmation of going from finance to lifestyle coaching? Was there a big moment that you had?
I had a journey with Raymond. I had attended a course on writing a book, and with him, I've written and published two books through his publishing house. And it was during that journey that I had met one of his other service providers who does coaching for a living and has a system in place to help others if you feel coaching is for you. And at that point, I didn't feel it was for me. There were certain skill sets that I believe I didn't have a knack of, including listening to people and certain life experiences. But during COVID, during all the interactions I've had with many service providers over the years, Joe, I believe that I'm very ready to help individuals with their challenges. I also offer a 30-minute strategy call so I can build up the trust element with potential clients. And if it's not a great fit, then we both walk away. And I've had that in the past, as I imagine many people. I've had business coaches or executive coaches through my corporate career where I felt the fit wasn't great, and so I chose someone else. And likewise, other people have chosen other coaches over myself. But what I choose to take from that is that it's not something that's an attack on me or a rejection on myself. And the book Rejection Proof, I forget the name of the author now, has really helped me with that, where when people say a no to a proposal of mine or a request to want to work together where I feel we may have synergies, it's not a personal attack on me. It's not a rejection of myself, but rather it's just the space that they are operating in. Maybe they are feeling just too overwhelmed and are unable to make a decision right now, and I hear it quite often is the price point. But there are people that are on their journey where I wasn't meant to be in their lives just yet. And our paths may or may not cross later on, but it's not going to be something that's a personal rejection of myself or an invalidation of the work that I do, but rather just where they're at. And that for me has been a very big lesson, where I had recently concluded an exercise called 100 Days of Rejection, similar to what the author describes in his book, where he had gone out to people with these outlandish requests for them to say no, and in that way get used to people saying no. And my journey with that experience has been where I've had people in the past that have said no to me, difficult people that I've encountered, whether it's a boss, a colleague, a subordinate. And I do a little exercise where I process that rejection and get through that. And after a day or a processing, I find myself so much lighter. And I've realized with a few tools that I've learned over the years that it really wasn't about me. It's just them trying to prove themselves in the workplace, or them just at the stage where they are, that they just weren't coping and they were snapping a lot, or whatever it was. They needed some other validation, or they needed me to feel small so that they could feel big. And that happens a lot in the workplace. And so a lot of it had very little to do with me and a whole lot more to do with them. And that rejection exercise has really changed my life, where I have a lot more spring in my step. I feel a lot lighter, and not having to carry these experiences, it's good for the psyche and also good for the health.
So let me ask you this. If you had a dream tonight, you ran into the young version of you that had these dreams of going out and making money for the family and doing something different, and you walked into the room to that young version of you, and there was a film projector, and you click play. There's a 60-second highlight reel of the life you've lived. Would that young version of you believe your life turned out this way?
Yes, I think so. I believe energetically that I, in my older self, has given my younger self some tools, some motivation to get to where I am today. And sometimes I don't understand it. It can be a lot of woo woo that's going on, but they, what had kept me going was this vision that I was driving a nice car, that my family and I could go on holidays and have experiences, that I would have an amazing career. I always imagined me to be at an executive level at a corporate, and I've been blessed with having very senior leadership roles. Having cupboards full with clothing. When we were growing up, Joe, we didn't have enough clothing. I had hand-me-downs for many, many years, and they were overly very big size and never fit me well. And it's always been a thing for me to have my clothes tailored so that they're fitting very well, and never to be without clothing for any occasion. And I've succeeded in that. I enjoy being surrounded in my home by antiques and paintings and furnishings. And when I'm entertaining, I bring out the best cutlery, crockery for my guests. And those are the things that I imagined that I would have growing up, that I was able to invite guests over for an amazing dining experience, or travel to the countryside, or fly off to some exotic location. And those visions have kept me going, and I haven't achieved all of that. I see me in this white warehouse type of house with the backdrop of the sea and the front view of endless fields, and then in the distance mountains and or hills. And that house, I feel, will be mine one day. And I can imagine myself walking down the staircase with my hand on the baluster coming down, and just being in my room, hearing the pitter patter of rain outside, feeling snug and warm in this brown colored room with cozy beddings and furniture and a lovely fireplace going in the background. And those are the visions I've yet to realize. But I've done pretty well thus far with achieving many, many of them.
So, speaking of the highlight reel that you viewed, of everything that you've done, what are you the proudest of, the happiest about?
There, there was a disappointment that I had in my high school career, where I didn't become deputy head boy. And are you familiar with the term a head boy?
Yeah.
Maybe that might mean something like class president, the US equivalent. And I felt I deserved that. I had worked really hard, gotten really good grades consistently throughout my high school career. I thought I was a shoo-in for the role. And yet they got someone in who, fine, he was a dear friend, but I thought was quite inadequate for the role. And I worked my butt off during that year, half very aspirational to reach my goals of getting a good grade so I get into the university. And the other half, rightly or wrongly, was I am going to show them all at the end of the year and show them all I did. And our awards ceremony was one of the best days of my life, where I'm going to turn my screen up, and this is something I want to show you. That
Oh,
let
wow.
me. So those are all the trophies and more that I had received as a result of the really good work that I had done in my last year at high school. I take those around wherever I live, in whatever home I'm in whichever part of South Africa, as a reminder, and I have them displayed pride of place, and people ask what they're for, and I enjoy seeing their eyes bulge up. When I confirm, yes, I did receive all those for 1 year. And I had a few teachers come up to me after the award ceremony apologizing for the oversight and not making me deputy head boy. And there's something to be said about doing you wrong can make you strong. And that it came true for me, and I was in the newspaper because of those accolades. I received a trophy for service to school, a trophy for special achievement, and that was in spite of my situation. During my matric year, I still managed to get really excellent grades. And that for me was a defining moment for me, Joe, where the hard work, the smart work, having an amazing support system, having some tools in place, and just that drive to succeed did reward me. And it was great because achieving those results, I got a great scholarship in my second year at university, and I also had most of my university fees, entrance fees for the first year, paid off in full
Wow.
because of my really great success in my last high school year.
So I got to know, at the end of the day, everyone has a perception of you, family, friends, clients, everyone that knows you, but you run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
I practice and I believe in my core that I am kind. And I wasn't always kind, but I am kind now, where I choose to have a soft voice, kind eyes, a listening ear, and speak from my heart space. And my friends agree with this. I also choose to come across authentically and not be fake. The world's filled with fake people, Joe, and I choose not to be one of those. I choose to bring my authentic self forward and my empathetic self forward, where if I don't have an answer, I'll get back to you. But rather than come up with some advice which I don't feel is going to benefit my client, I would rather than defer an opinion until later on. Maybe I can ask someone else or get back to them. But it's this authentic living that I choose to embrace.
So I got to know, as kind of a nomad and going around the world, so to speak, what's been one of the most unexpectedly magical places that you visited on the planet?
Oh, that would have to be Italy. Italy calls to me, Joe. It pulls on my heartstrings. And there was a movie that I saw at the cinema just recently, Solo Mio.
Yeah.
And I saw it more because it was in Italy, and I had spent many a time in Tuscany and Rome and a few other places. The people, the food, the simplicity of the pizza
Yep.
is astounding, and yet it is the flavor profile is spectacular. And I've never come across such simple food yet done with love. And I'm a foodie, and my foodie vibes were honed in Italy. So it's always been a dream then to have a villa in Tuscany and watch the space. I feel it will be a reality for me as
I
well.
I felt like I may have had a previous lifetime that was in Rome when I was in Rome. Rome was
Wow.
a level of magnetism that was unreal. And it was totally different by day than by night. But yeah, I've been through Italy. My ancestors came here, my great grandparents came here to Ellis Island. But there was something magical about being out there, and you're totally right, like spot on. Like there's an old world charm, the culinary delights. There's so much to look at. The people are great. Like everything's just stellar. And everybody said that when they would travel through Europe. I was like, "What's your
Mm,
favorite country?" And they would always go back to Italy every time, you know?
yeah, it's not hard to believe that because I feel it's so magical for me, and I thrive when I'm in Italy.
Yeah, for sure. So if anybody else out there wants to thrive, they want to hire you, they want to change their lives, get your books, any of the good business in your world, where's the best place for them to go?
They can contact me via email, rabesh at lifestylerocketship.com. My Instagram handle is at Rabesh Sukrajh, and I do offer a 30-minute free call with potential clients to see if it's a good fit, and happy to give them a link to book either when they reach out via Instagram or via email.
I will put all these links in the show notes. Rabesh, this has been absolutely wonderful. So great to meet you. Thank you so much for the light you're putting in the world. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Joe. I had a fabulous time with
It was
you.
wonderful.